So I've mentioned before I travel a lot, and in Ohio we have a lot of these antique malls. Now supposedly this is the largest antique mall in the United States or something to that effect. And it is large, about 4 times larger than the last antique mall we visited. I'll take you along for the ride. Now if you'd like to skip past the circus music, fast forward to the 2-minute 30-second mark. Here we go. Now after the hour and a half that I spent in there, this is all we walked out with, which is a 1957 Chevy made by Matchbox Lesney. And this was $8 just like the James Bond car. I'm not sure why I seem to pick these $8 cars, that's just the way it works out. And this one is definitely worth it, whereas the James Bond I was a little doubtful at first, but this features an all-metal base, and before I picked it out of the case I actually thought it was a plastic-based car. And it certainly does not need a restoration, doesn't need to be customized or anything. But we're not going to let that stop us. Now if you watched the whole circus music portion, whether you were just brave enough to do so or were extremely bored, you would have noticed there were several Hot Wheels Redlines. And they were all grossly overpriced. I think the cheapest one was around $40, which is something you could find on eBay for $5 to $8. And I believe the most expensive one was around $275, and the average price was $85. So that's why we just walked out with this $8 Matchbox. We're not looking to spend a fortune on these cars. We're going to start this custom by chucking it into our vise and drilling out the chassis. Now we're using our larger bits here to get rid of the mushroom portion of the post where they attach the base to the actual body. And here we're using yet an even larger drill bit just to clean it up. And after this, it should come right apart. Take our screwdriver and pop the base away from the body. Once the base is removed, we can go ahead and remove that chrome interior. I do not like all chrome interior, so we're going to take care of that a little bit later. And then we can proceed with removing the glass, which is just sat in place. Before we move on, we need to figure out how this front clip is removed from the main portion of the body. And it looks like it's just kind of hooked in there. The front of it is plastic as far as the grille and the headlights, and if you give it a little bit of a twist, you can pop it right out, just like that. Next we need to work on removing the front grille piece, which is the bumper, the headlights, and all those items. You can see there's 2 posts there. Now this is plastic, We also need to work on removing the engine bay, which is also plastic. And it's just held on by this little clip on the bottom. We're going to push it in with our screwdriver, push up, and we pop the whole thing out. Now the front grill portion, we're going to need to drill out. We just drill the tips off of those mushroomed heads and pull it right on out. Time to strip the body of its paint. Now I'm still using the citrus strip, but I've moved to the gel formula. And there's a few reasons for that. One reason being is that the fumes, there's not a lot of fumes, but they are still present. And also the aerosol product has not been consistent lately. Some cans work, some don't. Now here's the body once we've stripped the paint. It's actually in great shape, aside from the body lines or the trim on the front portion. And you'll see that later. They're just jagged. They're there, but jagged. Now we're going to continue drilling out our posts. We have not drilled the smaller hole, the 16-inch hole, so we can insert a screw. And just like the last video we had with the giveaway, we're not going to tap. We're going to use these stainless steel screws to create our threads, and it works perfectly. You can see those threads that were created by those screws. Now here is where the project takes a bit of a turn. We went ahead and used some craft paint. Now this is a base sealer craft paint. Then we painted it with black craft paint. And now we're going to mask off the top portion of the car and paint the bottom portion red using our Tamiya masking tape. Again, craft paint. And it turns out really well aside from the orange peel. So I thought some clear could do the orange peel wonders, but it didn't. So here's where we are now. We started over. We painted the base with this metallic silver paint from the Redline shop. It's used for Redlines with less than stellar bodies. We also attached some new wheels to the base. These are from some random casting, as well as painted the interior red. Now I was originally going to paint the car red again, red and silver, or red and black over this metallic base, but we went with the copper Spectraflame. I love it. And now we need to paint all that chrome trim. So we're using our chrome pen along with a dental flossing pick to correct any imperfections we may have. We don't do all of it, and I'll explain that a little bit later. And next we're going to use our panel line paint to tone down that chrome a bit. Essentially what we're doing is just painting it onto the chrome grill area, and it seeps into the crevices. We also painted the motor orange as well as the stacks chrome. And here is the finished product. I'm extremely happy with the paint, the copper and the silver, but the overall casting of the car leaves a lot to be desired in my opinion. It's too busy. There's too much chrome. You've got the chrome pipes, the chrome bumper, and all the chrome trim. Now, speaking of the chrome trim, you'll notice that I did not paint the trim around the windows. The reason being is the casting is pretty rough in those areas. You'll also notice that it's a bit rough on the front clip. The chrome is a little jagged. That is the actual casting, not the paint. I didn't really notice that until after the fact, and I'm not going to correct it now. Also notice we painted the Chevy Emblems, the headlights, as well as the taillights. We put a lot of little details in this casting. The other thing I do not like about this casting that I thought I was going to love are the wheels. They look horrible. I think even with all that chrome, another set of wheels would do this car justice. Not only another set of wheels, maybe lowering it a bit. It looks like a 4x4. But really at the end of the day, I don't care. It's a fun hobby. My grandson loves these cars, and we get to create some decent content and hopefully learn something from our mistakes. And here's what we started with. There was nothing wrong with this casting, and I may get some flack for that, but that's just what we do here. Whether it's beat up or new, we're going to take it apart and restore it or change it. Now if you see any of the tools that we use in this video and you'd like to purchase them for yourself, we have links, Amazon links, that are located below the video in the description. I have links to just about everything we use, including those stainless steel screws, so you don't have to use a tap anymore. If you'd like to leave a question or comment, feel free to do so. I read all of them. Now, there may be some delay at the moment. I'm actually out of town on vacation. If you'd like to be part of the monthly custom giveaway, be sure to check out the channel on Patreon. For a pledge as little as $1 a month, you're eligible for the monthly custom giveaway. And I'd like to take this time to thank my top patrons, which are Henry Harkreader, Corbin Toll, Gary Burke, and Hot Wheels guy. Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all my patrons as well as all my subscribers. Originally, this was going to be our November custom giveaway for Patreon, but there's a few reasons why we're not going to do that. Number one, I'm not happy with it, and I don't feel right sending something out that I'm not happy with. And number two, the most important reason, a certain 5-year-old has already claimed it and absolutely loves it.